Become a RealCatholicTV.com premium member. It's all the news that isn't fit to print.
Catholic News Roundup is brought to you in part by PewSitter.com, your online Catholic newspaper for the third millennium, CatholicMediaCoalition.org, in line with the Church, online with the world.
And TheAmericanCatholic.com, politics and culture from a Catholic perspective.
Hello and welcome to today's edition of Catholic News Roundup. I'm Matthew McAuliffe. The Gray Lady embraces bigots. Atheists are indulging in their favorite pastime, anti-Catholic bigotry, in an ad that the New York Times actually published over the weekend, exhibiting hate speech in its call to liberal Catholics to leave the Church and join the ranks of the godless. The Freedom from Religion Foundation raised $52,000 to place this ad on page 10 of the Times front section, titled, "It's Time to Quit the Catholic Church," and asks the question, will it be reproductive freedom or back to the Dark Ages? Do you choose women and their rights or bishops and their wrongs? The ad uses the HHS mandate as a platform to attack the Church, calling it a, quote, an avowedly anti-democratic old boys club, blaming Catholics for every problem in the world today, from poverty to unwanted pregnancy. Catholic League President Bill Donahue says not a single Catholic who reads the ad will actually leave the Church, but that the issue is, quote, the increase in hate speech directed at Catholics, which has also been called the last legal form of bigotry in the United States. Spain defends church rights. Attempts have been rejected in Spain to blackball the Catholic Church in an effort to keep it from getting involved with education and providing chaplains for the military. This weekend, the Spanish Foreign Affairs Commission overwhelmingly defeated a motion by liberal lawmakers that would have reversed agreements between Spain and Rome, agreements which originally established the Church's ability to appoint its own bishops in the country. Repeal of the international policy would have increased taxes on Catholic institutions as well, all in the name of more directly establishing, quote, separation of church and state. Church bombing trend. A suicide bomber attacked a Nigerian Catholic church yesterday, leaving at least 10 dead and the church building badly damaged. It happened in the central Nigerian city of Jos, when the terrorists tried to drive a car into the church during Mass at St. Finbar's. This part of Nigeria has been scarred by unrest and violence, often manifested in attacks by Muslims on Christians, though no group has claimed responsibility for this recent bombing. The Jos church bombing is not unlike two others in recent memory, claimed by the radical Islamic group, Boko Haram. The first is a series of 2010 Christmas Eve bombings in the same city that left some 80 people dead, and the other was in Madala, Nigeria, at St. Teresa's Catholic Church, where another suicide bomber tried to drive a car into the church on Christmas Day 2011, killing and injuring dozens of people. Since 2010, Human Rights Watch says that some 1,000 deaths have been reported in the region because of such clashes. Stay with us. We'll be back in just a few seconds.
Catholic News Roundup is brought to you in part by NewOxfordReview.org, the voice of Catholic Orthodoxy, in print and on the web, and RenewAmerica.com, expanding the influence of America's grassroots in the cause of freedom.
Father Marcel marginalized. The Archdiocese of Washington, D.C. is removing the faculties of a Maryland priest after he denied an openly professed lesbian from receiving Holy Communion. You may remember Father Marcel Guarnizo, whose name has gone viral in the homosexual community for denying Barbara Johnson communion at her mother's funeral, telling her, quote, "I cannot give you communion because you live with a woman, and in the eyes of the Church, that is a sin," end quote. Johnson, the lesbian, declared a public vendetta against the priest, calling for him to be removed from public ministry, saying he will, quote, not have the opportunity to inflict this kind of suffering on any family in the future, end quote. This statement removing Father Marcel from active ministry was issued over the weekend by moderator of the Curia for the Washington Archdiocese, Monsignor Barry Nestout, whose reasoning is that Father Marcel was allegedly, quote, engaging in intimidating behavior to parish staff and others. UK bishops defend marriage. The coalition government in England is caving to the pressure from the aggressive and well-funded same-sex marriage lobby, but not without a fight from the Sceptred Isles Catholic bishops. A letter penned by the Archbishop of Westminster, Vincent Nichols, was read at Mass this past Sunday, urging Catholics in the United Kingdom to fight the government's move to legalize same-sex marriage, saying in part, quote, "There would be no recognition of the complementarity of male and female, or that marriage is intended for the procreation and education of children," end quote. Prime Minister David Cameron backs the plan to legalize civil unions for everyone, despite deviant sexual orientation, as so-called human rights activists are claiming that the Catholic Church's stance is a type of discrimination and therefore isn't a Christian value. Cardinal Keith O'Brien, head of the Roman Catholic Church in Scotland, has summed up the government's move to legalize same-sex marriage in one word: madness. I'm Matthew McAuliffe. Thanks for tuning in today. Be sure and tune in tomorrow for your daily dose of Catholic News Roundup right here on RealCatholicTV.com. Also be sure to check out The Vortex, where Michael talks about liberal voters wanting to bring heaven on earth to the ballot box. Thanks for tuning in. Be sure to tell all your friends about us. And as always, God bless you.